Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a moment about something powerful, something that changes the entire dynamic between a man and a woman, and most people don't even realize it's happening. It's called matching his distance. Now listen to me carefully. When a man pulls back and you chase him, you're teaching him that he can give you less and still receive more. But the moment you stop over-giving, stop over-texting, stop over-explaining, and you simply match his energy, that's when everything shifts. See, men are wired to notice patterns. When you're always available, always initiating, always fixing, he gets comfortable. But when you calmly step back and give him the same level of effort he's giving you, it hits him differently. He starts wondering, he starts paying attention, because now the control he thought he had is gone. When you chase a man who has pulled back, you are unknowingly setting a standard for how little effort he needs to give in order to keep you in his life. Human behavior responds to patterns, not promises. If you continue showing up with the same energy while he reduces his, the message he receives is simple. You will adjust, you will compensate, and you will carry the emotional weight of the connection by yourself. Over time, this creates an imbalance where he feels no urgency to change because there are no consequences for his lack of effort. Chasing often comes from fear, the fear of losing him, the fear of silence, the fear of not being chosen. But when fear leads your actions, respect slowly leaves the room. A man may not consciously say, "She's doing too much," but subconsciously, he recognizes that he can step back without losing access to you. When that happens, effort becomes optional. Why would he step up when you've already stepped forward for both of you? The problem with overgiving is that it blurs the line between love and desperation. Love should be mutual, flowing in both directions. Desperation, however, looks like constant initiating, explaining, fixing, and forgiving without change. When a man sees that no matter how distant he becomes, you are still present, he learns that your boundaries are flexible and your needs can be postponed. This doesn't make him evil, it makes him human. People naturally take advantage of what they believe will always be there. Chasing also removes the space a man needs to feel your value. Distance creates contrast. When you are always available, always reachable, always responsive, your presence becomes predictable. Predictability kills appreciation. A man doesn't miss what never leaves. But when you stop chasing and allow space to exist, he finally experiences the weight of your absence. That's when realization begins. That's when he notices the energy you used to bring, the support you used to give, the warmth that is no longer automatically available. Another hard truth is that chasing reverses roles. Men are biologically wired to pursue what matters to them. When you take over that role, you rob him of the chance to invest emotionally. And without investment, attachment weakens. A man values what he works for. If he doesn't have to work, he doesn't have to grow. By chasing, you are not proving your love, you are proving your tolerance for imbalance. You are teaching him that he can show up halfway and still receive full access to you. And once a man becomes comfortable with that dynamic, changing it becomes difficult. That is why the moment you stop chasing, everything becomes clear. Either he steps up or he steps away. But in both cases, you finally get the truth. When you match a man's distance, the balance of power quietly shifts. Power in relationships doesn't come from control, manipulation, or loud demands. It comes from emotional self-control. The moment you stop overextending and begin mirroring the effort he gives, you reclaim that power without saying a word. You are no longer reacting to his behavior. You are responding to it with intention. That alone changes how he experiences you. Men pay close attention to changes in emotional patterns. When you suddenly stop initiating every conversation, stop filling every silence, and stop carrying the connection alone, it creates uncertainty, not confusion, awareness. He starts to notice the gap between what you used to give and what you now give. That awareness forces him to evaluate his own actions. Matching distance acts like a mirror, reflecting his level of effort back to him. And mirrors are uncomfortable when someone doesn't like what they see. This shift in control is powerful because it removes emotional predictability. Before, he knew you would be there regardless of his behavior. Now, he doesn't. That uncertainty wakes something up in him. He starts paying closer attention to how often he reaches out, how long he takes to respond, and whether he is doing enough to keep your interest. Not because you asked him to, but because your behavior changed. When control shifts, the emotional dynamic changes as well. You are no longer positioned as someone waiting to be chosen. You are someone observing, evaluating, and deciding. That subtle change is felt deeply. A man may not be able to explain it, but he senses that he no longer has automatic access to your energy. Access must now be earned through consistency and effort. This is when respect either grows or disappears completely. Matching his distance also exposes intention with brutal honesty. A man who truly values you will feel the shift and move closer. He will increase communication, effort, and presence because he doesn't want to lose the connection. A man who was only comfortable, not committed, will not adjust. He will stay distant or disappear. And that response tells you everything you need to know. The power shift protects you from illusions and half love. Most importantly, reclaiming control through matching distance strengthens your self-worth. You stop tying your emotional security to his behavior. Instead of anxiously waiting for validation, you become grounded in your own standards. You no longer feel the urge to chase clarity because clarity reveals itself through action. That inner stability is attractive. Confidence that doesn't beg is magnetic. When you match his distance, you are not trying to win him over. You are setting the terms for how you will be treated. That quiet boundary resets the entire relationship. It says, without speaking, I meet you where you meet me. And in that space, true intentions rise to the surface, and the power returns to where it belongs with you. When you step back and give a man space, the way he responds tells the real story. Words can be rehearsed, promises can be made, and intentions can be claimed, but movement never lies. A man who genuinely cares will not grow comfortable with distance. He will feel it and move closer. That response is instinctive, not forced. When something matters to a man, he protects it, he checks on it, and he makes sure it doesn't slip away. Distance creates a moment of truth. When you stop initiating, stop reminding, and stop holding the connection together, the relationship is no longer being carried, it is being tested. A caring man notices quickly. He senses the shift in energy and feels the absence of what you used to give. Instead of assuming you will return to doing all the work, he steps up, he reaches out, he asks questions. He makes his presence known because your absence feels unfamiliar and unsettling. A man who values you does not want ambiguity between you. When you pull back, he doesn't punish you with silence or ego-driven distance. Instead, he seeks clarity. He wants to know where he stands because losing emotional access to you matters to him. That concern translates into effort. He doesn't wait for you to chase reassurance, he provides it through action. Stepping back also removes emotional pressure. When you are constantly present, a man may take you for granted without realizing it. But when you create space, it allows him to feel the weight of the connection on his own terms. He begins to recognize what life feels like without your consistent energy, attention, and support. That realization often brings him forward naturally without you having to demand change. However, distance also exposes those who were never truly invested. A man who doesn't care will not bridge the gap. He won't check in. He won't adjust his behavior. He may even disappear entirely. While that can be painful, it is also a gift. It saves you from spending emotional energy on someone who was only present when it was convenient. Silence, in this case, becomes an answer rather than a mystery. The difference between these two reactions is critical. One man moves closer because he values the connection. The other moves away because there was nothing holding him there. Matching distance removes excuses and confusion. It eliminates mixed signals and replaces them with clear behavioral evidence. Most importantly, when a man steps forward after you step back, it is his choice, not a response to pressure, fear, or ultimatums. That choice carries more weight than any words he could speak. It shows readiness, emotional responsibility, and intention. And if he doesn't step forward, you haven't lost anything real. You've simply uncovered the truth sooner. Giving space is not about testing someone. It's about allowing them to show you who they truly are. A man who cares will always close the gap. Silence has a way of speaking louder than arguments ever could. When you stop filling the gaps, stop explaining your feelings repeatedly, and stop chasing responses, the quiet that follows becomes impossible to ignore. That silence forces reflection. Without constant communication to notice, a man is left alone with his thoughts, his actions, and the consequences of them. In that stillness, accountability begins. When you are always available, it's easy for a man to avoid responsibility. Your presence cushions his inconsistency. Your explanations soften his neglect. Your forgiveness arrives before real change does. Silence removes that safety net. It creates emotional space where excuses no longer work. He can't hide behind busyness, confusion, or distraction when the result of his behavior is distance. Silence disrupts comfort. Comfort allows patterns to repeat without question. When everything stays the same, there is no reason to self-correct. But when the energy shifts and the usual access to you disappears, discomfort sets in. That discomfort is not cruelty, it's awareness. A man starts to replay conversations, miss messages, delayed replies, and moments where he could have shown up but didn't. Silence holds up a mirror and asks, was I doing enough? In that quiet space, a man either takes ownership or retreats further into avoidance. Reflection requires emotional maturity. A man who is capable of growth will feel the silence and respond by adjusting his behavior. He may reach out with more intention, communicate more clearly, or show consistency where he once lacked it. That change doesn't come from being told what to do. It comes from realizing what's at stake. Silence also shifts the emotional burden. Instead of you carrying the weight of the relationship, wondering, worrying, and overthinking, he now feels that weight. He wonders why you've pulled back. He questions whether you're still invested. That reversal is important. Accountability can only exist when both people feel the consequences of their actions. Many people fear silence because it feels like loss. But silence is not absence, it's a boundary. It's a pause that allows truth to surface. When you stop reacting emotionally, you give space for intention to reveal itself. A man who cares will not ignore the silence. He will try to understand it. A man who doesn't will let it stretch indefinitely. The power of silence lies in its honesty. It doesn't beg, accuse, or demand. It simply responds. And response is where accountability lives. When someone feels the impact of their behavior without being rescued from it, growth becomes possible. By allowing silence to exist, you stop enabling inconsistency and start encouraging responsibility. You let a man sit with his choices. Whether he rises to meet that moment or walks away, the silence has already done its job. Matching energy is often misunderstood as manipulation, but in truth, it is one of the clearest expressions of self-respect. When you meet someone exactly where they meet you, you are not playing games. You are honoring your own value. You are saying, without drama or explanation, that your time, effort, and emotional investment matter just as much as theirs. That mindset changes how you move, how you speak, and how you allow yourself to be treated. Self-respect begins with awareness. When you notice that you are giving more than you are receiving, something inside you feels off. That discomfort is not insecurity, it is intuition. Ignoring it leads to resentment, exhaustion, and self-doubt. Matching energy means listening to that inner signal and responding calmly instead of overcompensating. You stop trying to earn what should be freely given. This approach is not about withholding love or affection to punish someone. It's about balance. When you give excessive effort to someone who is inconsistent, You send the message that your standards are negotiable. Over time, that erodes how you see yourself. Matching energy restores balance by aligning your actions with your worth. You no longer give more just to keep someone comfortable. Games involve strategy, deception, and hidden motives. Matching energy involves honesty, especially with yourself. There is no pretending, no fake distance, no silent manipulation. You simply respond in proportion. If someone communicates consistently, you do the same. If they pull back, you don't chase or demand, you adjust. That adjustment is not coldness, it's clarity. Self-respect also removes emotional chaos. When you stop overgiving, you stop overthinking. You no longer sit by your phone wondering why effort isn't being returned. Instead, you observe behavior and let it guide your response. That emotional steadiness is powerful. It keeps you grounded and prevents you from becoming reactive. People who accuse others of playing games are often uncomfortable with boundaries. They benefited from your overavailability and now feel the loss of easy access. But healthy people understand balance. A man who respects you will not be threatened by matched energy. He will recognize it as maturity. He will rise to meet it or step aside, but he won't be confused by it. Matching energy also teaches people how to treat you without long explanations. You don't have to argue for effort or beg for consistency. Your actions set the standard. When you stop giving more than you receive, you naturally attract relationships where effort is mutual. And if someone can't meet you there, you haven't failed, you've filtered. Self-respect is quiet. It doesn't announce itself or demand validation. It simply shows up in the way you choose not to overextend. Matching energy protects your peace, your dignity, and your emotional health. It keeps love clean and honest. And when you move from that place, you are no longer trying to be chosen, you are choosing yourself. Distance has a way of stripping away illusions and revealing truth with painful clarity. When you stop overfunctioning in a relationship and allow space to exist, intentions rise to the surface. There is no room for mixed signals, excuses, or confusion. What remains is behavior, and behavior never lies. Distance becomes a filter, separating genuine interest from convenience. When someone is truly invested, distance feels uncomfortable to them. It creates urgency, not indifference. A man with sincere intentions will not be at peace knowing the connection is weakening. He will feel compelled to act, to reconnect, to reassure, and to restore closeness. His effort increases because the possibility of losing you becomes real. Distance sharpens his awareness of your value. On the other hand, distance exposes those who were only present for attention, validation, or comfort. When you stop initiating, stop accommodating, and stop making it easy, their interest fades. Not because you did anything wrong, but because their intention was never rooted in commitment. Distance removes the benefits they were enjoying without requiring effort. And when the benefits disappear, so do they. This revelation can be uncomfortable, especially if you were emotionally attached to potential rather than reality. But distance saves you from investing in what was never meant to grow. It brings clarity faster than endless conversations ever could. Instead of trying to decode words, you watch actions. Instead of hoping for change, you observe response. Distance also protects your peace by preventing emotional burnout. Overgiving drains you slowly, leaving you tired, anxious, and questioning your worth. When you create space, you reclaim your energy. You stop chasing explanations and start standing in truth. That emotional protection allows you to see situations clearly without desperation clouding your judgment. Many people fear distance because they associate it with loss. But distance is not loss, it is information. It tells you who is willing to meet you halfway and who was only comfortable when you carried the load. That knowledge is empowering. It gives you the ability to make decisions based on reality instead of hope. When intentions are exposed, you are no longer stuck in uncertainty. You either see effort or you see absence. Both are answers. And once you have an answer, you can move forward with confidence instead of doubt. Distance prevents you from settling for half love and inconsistent effort. Ultimately, distance protects what matters most, your self-worth and inner peace. It ensures that anyone who stays in your life does so because they choose you, not because you make it easy for them to remain uncommitted. By allowing space to exist, you allow truth to speak. And truth, even when it hurts, always leads you to something better.